Okay, so like the feeling of the prediction right now is that basically even right now as like Glorio is like about to make the wish to like the strength of dragon like even right then like basically Aransu even telling Glorio to like tell make the wish to the dragon to make Aransu like the greatest most powerful supreme demon thing like by that which like what Aransu might have actually meant might have been the fairly for like Glorio to like actually wish for like the third eye. It's definitely not the third eye, especially like the situation even being that Gomah with mobile for putting like about the third I think was personally strong like this might have been and definitely and to take the mind of the generation that they should be definitely the power of the third eye that might have allowed that way back in like the very initial path in like the very beginning uh, when before universes existed like when like the demon realm was like the only thing that had existed like back then the fact that not even like the ancestor of like the current or making being like the ultimate ruler of Vector in realm solely like for even like the ancestor of Vector making that then for even them to be even the ancestor or the reason for even the ancestor of Vector making not being able to be that the smallest most ultimate powerful ruler of Vector in realm back then only the real realm certainly between that then king of like the realm was certainly possessing like the power of the ultimate power of like the ultimate superior power of Vector right definitely my potential the power of Vector I would be like ultimate strongest power uh, uh, for this entire time period is definitely even to the first place definitely my person to the end so precisely because of this reason I'm considering I'm still also still thinking to my consideration that Goma will never be able to be brought down or defeated without like without being like removed like the third eye from Goma. Like as long as Goma possesses like the power of the third eye, not even like Goku and Vegeta even like if they eventually fuses or like even turns into like the fusion form of like Vegeta or like the Vegeta and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta or like Vegeta or even if they like they are able to like make themselves like lift themselves back to like their normal size like even then and even if then they fuses and turns into that the normal size version of like a Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta or Vegeta even then I'm considering they won't be still he's not be strong enough to like bring out a third eye part of the Goma certainly might be able to so like right now as for like the like Aransu telling Glorio to that nature like the ultimate powerful supreme demon king of like the ring and like what ultimately the meanings would be precisely for like Glorio to like precisely wish for like the right and straight away that so that like at that point itself like Goma would be stopped straight away. So and then straight away for like Glorio to quickly give the right to Aransu, place to the right to the Aransu's whatever that way Aransu will be getting the ultimate power of the right. And so that like that way Aransu would be able to be like the supreme being is definitely might be my consideration. For example, the reason for like them so badly wanting then that would be precisely and solely due to that Aransu was like having like deep down and still for a thing like the sitting the weapons that Aransu definitely having that goodness deep down within her because like she would have the that character roles that she did which she would be renewing her roles that she did in like the past like basically of basically have I think like making the caller that have enslaved like already mentioned like the third demon third demon joined is definitely one of the real so basically this might be like the ultimate goal of that Glorious is like Glorious has been revealed to be actually truly from like the third demon world like Glorious ultimate goal would be to like basically remove all the followers and free like the like demon people from like the third demon world. It's definitely my taking the average. So like you know what to like achieve this goal like Lore might have teamed up with like Aruto and like the reason for them wanting then they would be especially because of like Aruto also wanting and control as well, which would be especially um for like and like this would be precisely to like restore back or like all the countries or like even create wish to like basically have like the weekend after the game really filled with like another countries. That's definitely my personal intention. So like there might be actually existing that goodness within RLJ might that might generate desire always go. It's definitely my personal intention. Yet like I'm considering as time passed, as like Gloria spend more and more time with Black Goku, and so like I'm considering like Gloria might have got the feeling that basically Goku is like a lot more genuine and and I thought that genuine than way more than Arjun might have been what Glorio might have felt. So like right now, at this moment, like I'm looking Glorio at this very moment that the while Glorio is about to make the wish to like the his dragon shelter like I'm the Glorio will be doubting like the possibility of that Arjun actually keeping her word and basically saving on becoming like if Aransu Glory gives like the third eye to Aransu and like if Aransu becomes like a separate demon thing like the mother kept Aransu actually keeping her word and basically freeing like the enslaved demons of that demon world. This like possibility that Glory might be totally doubting right now of like Aransu keeping that word and like Nora might be also doubting like the moment that like on receiving like the ultimate Vegeta power of like the third eye and that way like answer straight away with answer that way straight away becomes like the supreme demon like will answer especially since like also is like the sibling of uh Mechanisms like Aranzo is like the sibling of like the wilderness decay. So like but Glorio would also have that right now would be having that in this moment of like making the wish to like the royal church or like Aranzo Glorio would only have that suspicion towards like Aranzo right now. And would be right now since like Glorio has thought of like Goku everything Goku did up to this point like I'm bringing Glorio they're right now thinking of wishing for the third eye and then quickly running towards Goku and trying to give the third eye to Goku so that like Goku at that point would be like the strongest person in like the demon realm. So that like if Gloria would be having that absolute confidence that basically if this Gloria would be like by now would be firmly believing that Goku is like genuinely a kind hearted and genuinely care. Gloria would be having that absolute trust and faith in Goku being able to like grant eventually grant Glorious goal and like basically go since like I would say I mean like Glory would be only absolutely confident that like uh, Goku would be like if Goku brings down Arjun as well as that Gomah and everything like if Goku refuse that like Goku would be like easily bring down Arjun and Majin too, and like basically Goma and everyone. And at that point, like Glorio asked Goku to like basically for like the help to basically free all the demons in like the third demon realm. Like Goku with only allowing helping Goku with only helping Glorio with that, and also like with like. Even like using the day to like stop that certain injuries and all that, like basically like Laura would be having maybe having that confidence that Goku would be like totally won't be straight away leaving with Tente and Goku would be that totally helping Glorio and like basically that with Tente's power like basically that restoration of recognition and everything would be possible through Goku by giving Goku like third eye would be along the lines of Glorio the right now thinking Glorio right now would be having that absolute trust and faith in Goku way more than even Arjun. And so like this is like the scenario that I'm about to bring Gloria right now will be making the witch for like the third eye and then I'm about to bring Gloria will be like run towards Goku to probably place the third eye on the like Goku's forehead. But like I'm about to bring at that point Goku being like totally confused and weirded out by what Gloria would be like doing and like during that confusion I'm about to bring Aruto totally straight away sending her margin to like stop Glorio and steal the third eye from Glorio. So like in that whole collision and considering like them losing like the third eye falling off to like the ground and at that point like Goma would be like who would have at that point lost all his powers and turned into his normal self would be stealthily and carefully watching all this like clash between Glorio and Majin and like right then like Glorio would be once again seizing like the opportunity to like quickly right then come considering like as like during the collision like according to the ground and physically member to remember so that like at that point like Arasu would be like thinking that like she could like would be seeing the third eye on the floor and Arasu would be slowly walking towards it thinking that like she has already won like she has finally got the third eye and so as Arasu would be about to pick the third eye and will different like Thomas stealthily like using some sort of like unique magical attack on like Arasu and basically stealthily attacking Arasu and basically seizing like the third eye and basically at that point, I'm also bringing Goma only looking around and seeing seeing that like, there's absolutely no one on the side of Goma. to this, and I'm still thinking about the third. So that like the third eye would only be like for one for an individual to clear like the power of the third eye. Another individual would have to like place the third eye onto that individual's forehead. So like I'm thinking at that point, Goma, even though Goma would get into third eye, Goma would be looking around at everyone present there would be only against Goma. So like at that point, I'm thinking Goma deciding to like temporarily escape and Goma using his like unique skills like and stealthy ways of moving that was supporting Goma using just like using magic powers like deciding to like get away and was supporting like just less Goma would be like yeah, would be trying to escape and to be chased after like Majin and Martin Go at that point, I'm not surprised precisely so much of Hindi finding that Degesu that basically that at the distance and I'm also surprised that would be due to like Degesu still outsmarting like I think like King Kadang's like demons from King Kadang's like the demon world who had basically upstairs and were taking away Degesu like I'm not surprised Degesu midway might have only outsmarted them and like so they get so like ambassador would be like would have gotten himself freed and basically like that way like ambassador as Goma would be trying to like get away like and escape like Goma totally running into the case of four people and at that point like Goma quickly giving like Goma being pleased and Goma quickly giving like the third right to the case and Goma telling the case to that basically like they are all after that like Aruntu and all of them after Goma that Goma at that point telling Picasso that basically that Goma would be forgiving Picasso for betraying Goma. So like right now for Picasso to like give place the third eye onto that Goma forehead, but like I'm considering at that point Picasso totally taking advantage of that situation and Picasso totally acting as if like he doesn't care about anything anymore and basically Picasso totally refusing to like place the third eye wanted Goma's pocket, but like Goma telling Digesu that he will forgive Digesu and make Digesu come and reflect Digesu face like with the Ryan Goma's pocket. But still Digesu taking advantage of the opportunity and telling Goma that he still doesn't care. That Digesu at that point would be telling Goma that he wants to be like the because of the power of the third eye and be like the supreme demon king. So like at that point with like all of them chasing after Goma and Goma was only extremely worried because like they would soon be catching up to like Goma. So like at that point an extremely reluctant Goma like basically giving the third eye to because it's like the scenario that end of the topic. And I was one with the moment because would be focusing like that the Goma placing the third eye onto the guesses forward and like the moment the guesses would be focusing the power of the third eye. So different either for the guess to like straight away take out Goma, take the life of Goma. That's like one possibility that I would bring. Or like the guess is deciding to like keep Goma as his like commander and basically like the situation shifting in such a manner as like Goma going from Digesu going from Goma's commander to like eventually with like Goma ending up being Digesu's commander. It's like the other possible scenario that I'm basically only for it. So like by the time like Arusu and like those would be catching up to where Goma would be like what they would be witnessing would be like an ultimate like power possessing ultimate transform form of like a giant form of like a ultimate powerful Digesu. So like the games like to the right of Digesu would be like the ultimate showdown fight that would be happening. It's definitely my favorite. So like in that fight like Goku and Vegeta fusing and basically turning into the initially fighting off against the Venezuela in the Vegeta form. And like that form would be like initially trying to get fought out by the Venezuela, right, visiting the Venezuela, and then like Goku and Vegeta once again like will be having like one more fusion but using the pretty like they'll be once again fusing and like at that point they'll be turning into like a Super Saiyan form version uh, of like a Gogeta. And in that form, I would, for instance, Gogeta would be probably most likely having like more of like a Goku dominant than Vegeta, where like I'm different Vegeta, there will be more of like a Vegeta dominant. So like I'm looking in Gogeta, I'm different in the Goku dominance, I'm different even though Vegeta would be objecting it, like it's still considering like even though Vegeta would be wanting to like have that alternate one fight against like third hypothesis in Digesu and to straight away directly or for fight and or for a defeat Digesu like another thing Goku at that point in along in more of like a logical sense and Goku by then like possibly getting the feeling that they won't be able to like it's simply within music logic that they simply are not even in their like super saiyan for Vegeta form that they simply are strong enough to be able to like have a direct fight against like the rivals in Bigesu and bring down for and defeat Bigesu. So like at that point maybe Gogeta Goku and Vegeta like basically taking the decision to like launch their professionally trapped Bigesu and basically to like launch the attack, a powerful attack in like specific direction so that like they could like certainly direct that ultimate attack towards like precisely the third eye person to get to forehead so that like that way to like split up and separate like the third eye from the other. So like such a strategy like Vegeta pulling out, and then also there will be like the help of like the remaining crew members of like Goku's team as well will be helping out like Piccolo and then the others as well. Shin and all of them like helping out in this like strategy and everything, and then possibly acting like as like the distraction or something, and everything that way like eventually using that like attack final attack that they targeting like the pocket of like the third eye of the Gezu, like the third eye being separated from the Gezu, and that way like at that point like the Gezu as well being brought out and Gomah as well being brought out at that point. It's like the scenario that end of the party, and then end of the party the finally like the third eye being most likely being given by Goku towards like Glorio. It's like the scenario that I'm considering. And like Glorio eventually becoming like the next Supreme Demon King. And like the moment he will be with the next Supreme Demon King, like and the Supreme Glorio information. Like undoing all the powers of like the third of like all the demons in like the third demon world and freeing all the demons in like the third demon world. And like by then like I'm also trying like aren't doing Glorio and Goku and through like all being in like good terms at that point, and like I'm bring at that point like before leaving with then they like Goku, and by the number of then they being able to like precisely like create Dragon Ball with like the scenario that I'm going to play. So like you know I'm physically about the emotions that not for that to be possible like I was sitting either never by then like naturally ending up time or like during the whole fight collision like never maybe eventually at some point getting caught in like the collision, and that resulting in like Neva's death, or like about to bring Neva himself like basically using his power like destroying like the Dragon Ball the Dragon Balls of that point so that like then they could like basically create like the Dragon Balls of only to temporarily onto like the ring realm so that they could like make that one wish, and that would be to precisely restore back all the memories and basically or to have like a memory spread be spread across like the demon realm, and then like I'm bring like all of them like with Goku and Pro being in absolute friendly terms with like Arun and less glorious in this magic and all of them like at that point, like Goku and Crow saying their goodbye to like all of them, like Arutu, Glorio, and all of them, and basically Goku and Crow leaving with like then they back and heading back to like the back to Earth and on Earth, like maybe then they and or like the other person there and also bring it to be through like the second week in like that through the Dragon Ball that and they would be creating at that point in like the Dream Realm that but maybe like in the second week like making like the wish to turn all the V fighters back to their normal level, then like all of them, including then they like basically returning back to up from like the demon realm is like the final possible scenario that I'm talking about right now and that's the name right. Okay, so like definitely that's the name right now with like Glory wishing for like Rancher roles with the Goku and throw back to their armor. It's definitely like I'm the thing there will be a lot of faith and trust involved in it. In that wish of Glory towards like Goku and like Goku fighters, definitely when the Remedy definitely would have formed after like Glory spending all this time that like Goku and through that Gloria might have definitely by now will have that like absolute genuinity of like a feeling towards like Goku and through when compared to like Naruto was definitely my favorite. So like I was considering like Gloria right now behind making the reason precise the reason for like making the big to turn Goku and throw back to the normal size to be precisely not just like Glorio making up for like his like basically like lying to Goku and throw and like basically then more that considering like it would be glorious belief that as well belief and trust in like global growth that basically once they will be turning back to their normal state, they will be actually able to like bring down and defeat Roma. And on top of that, like the other reason would be specifically once Gomah is like defeated, like through this wish since like 10 days as well, the baby 10 days as well has grown back to its like normal size. So the right that way like Glory might have definitely also seen like the person there like the one like 10 they would be returned back to its like normal size like 10 they would be able to like easily create like the Dragon Balls of her. So like I'm also bring Glory might have by now but after spending so much time like going through that change, that absolute change towards left side of wood might have totally happened towards Glorio that I'm looking Glorio right now. What Glorio would be like totally intending through like making the switch to like turn Goku and through into like the normal that would be that like Glorio would have right now having that absolute trust that basically after Goku and was going through being able to like defeat Gomah and after defeating Gomah. like Glorio might be maybe planning on using like the third eye himself. So like what my personal impression is for like what right now Glorio you know like cooking would be like Goku and Pro right now in their normal size would be able to like definitely defeat Gomah and basically and that point of like defeating Gomah at that point I'm considering maybe like Glorio only feeling that basically Goku and Pro would be like at that point but they're returning like the favor of Glorio by precisely most likely giving like the third eye precisely to Glorio. So like basically that way Glorio being able to possess like the power of the third eye and that way they get them being able to like become like the supreme demon king of like the demon realm and that way like Glorio having that ultimate power to straight away free all the demons in like the enslaved demons in like the third demon world. That way, Gloria being like free his home, and then about the Gloria might have like not at all forgotten about Arunchu. This only due to like Gloria prioritizing right now. Gloria right now betraying Arunchu. This only due to like Gloria not trusting Arunchu on the levels of how much right now he would be trusting open through the level. So like I'm still like Gloria might have definitely not forgotten about Arunchu. So like but the glorious plan like one like Glorio will be becoming like secondary with like or Glorio will planning will be to like basically and Glorio by now might not only change so much into like that basically Glorio even though initially he might have had like the plans to like basically not to use 10 day to create like the Dragon Ball even though initially Glorio and Naruto might have had like the plan to like basically eventually take the life of Neva. I'm considering right now Glorio might have changed so much to the point that like Glorio might be only wanting not wanting to like even take Neva's life like Glorio according to Glorio's plan like after like becoming like supreme demon king, like Glory will be planning on like freeing all the demons in like the demon world, and then like telling Goku and Kuro that basically once they return back to the Black Sunday at that point for like them to like for them they to basically for them to like make the wish from to basically restore back all the memories in like the Link realm to for them to like make that wish from it would be what like Glory would be only planning to eventually do before like the fighters would be leaving like the demon realm. This would be like Glorious plan. So that like that way like Arantu's like wish as well would be like ending up being true. So like and Gloria would be confident in that in even saying such a thing to that Goku and Goku because of like in Goku's team like they are being like Shinku also like actually them by now like Gloria would have totally figured that Shin is like genuinely also like the other crew members of Goku's team like Shin as well as like totally unlike tears at all. Like Shin is also like definitely genuine and kind hearted. So like especially because of this reason, like Glorio would be also having that confidence that even if that Glorio let the Z fighters like at that point leave like the ring and still staying with only keeping their word and making their wish from like that and basically that they eventually like all the destroyed flame race would be restored back in like the realm of reality. So this would be like the confidence that and faith and that absolute trust that Glorio right now will be having towards like Goku and Groot and this will be the precise possible things that Gloria might not only foreseen and planned out right now while making this exact vision right now with that to the fighters back to their normal days. Definitely my personal investment. But like I'm still thinking to my personal investment that like even with like Goku and Vegeta and like the fighters like right now turning back to their normal days. I'm bring like with much great deal. I'm bring the whole Goku and Vegeta right now. I'm going to bring them to like totally feel kind of like overconfident and like Goku and Vegeta right now. Vegeta totally right now turning into his like once again switching back to his like Super three forms while Goku will be like switching back to his like Super Saiyan form and then both like to simultaneously teaming up and trying to like bring down Goma. The right position Goma, like the scenario that I was bring. But even that effort like totally pairing is like Goma's having like Goma's third eye having like a lot more greater extent of like superior strength within him. Basically like Goma will be usually bringing out like the more Super and Vegeta will be pushing Goma like that more all that hidden potential and hidden power within Goma will be like more and more coming out. And with like every time Goku and Vegeta would be pushing Goma, like Goma would be like highlighting that much stronger. It's like the scenario that I was doing. So like at that point, Goku and Vegeta think that like Goku think that like there's no other way other than using the fusion. But so like I was thinking at that point, Vegito, 80% for Vegito transformation. And even that totally failing to like initially even though it will be like putting up kind of like a great performance against like Goma. but still eventually once again Gomah more of Gomah's ultimate third eye strength coming out and basically once again Super Saiyan Vegeta as well Super Saiyan form Vegeta as well losing against Gomah. Then one more fusion Bagan was will be present title of Goku Vegeta using Super Saiyan form Vegeta will be the next individual to fight against Gomah, and even that attempt failing, and eventually the third eye possessing Gomah only being brought down through the separation of the third eye from Gomah is and that would be solved way, solved path through which I'm considering eventually Gomah would be defeated. Is the scenario that I'm considering and still thinking on the Okay, so definitely my Korean position right now as for the overconfidence of Goku and Vegeta and Vegeta definitely to back the son wanting to fight up against Goma in a one versus one fight solely because of them turning back right now turning back to their normal state. And I'm definitely think Vegeta right now being desperate to right now itself soon as after turning back to its normal state Vegeta so desperate to straight away fight up against Goma in that one versus one fight. Hindi considering specifically Vegeta's desperation right now after seeing Goku being able to ascend to the levels of Super Saiyan 4, Vegeta would be desperate to get to Goku's level as soon as possible, make it to Super Saiyan form as soon as possible. And Vegeta right now would be seeing this right now as Vegeta turn back to his normal state, Vegeta would be right now seeing this right now as Vegeta's about to fight up against Goma. Vegeta would be seeing this as ultimate chance to ascend to for him as well to be exactly Goku's to be able to ascend to the levels of Super Saiyan for by fighting out against Goma. This would be the precise reason for that as the separation of Vegeta and Vegeta so badly wanting to right now to fight up against Goma in as soon as possible in a one versus one fight is definitely related. So definitely that attempt of Vegeta and Vegeta seriously backfiring is the scenario that I'm preparing and still thinking also. And after Vegeta would be losing, Goku would be fighting in one versus one fight into Super Saiyan form in the opposite against Goma. Even that backfiring and Goku will get defeated. And it will be at that point that they would be deciding to use the fusion bug. It's the scenario that I'm going to program about the reaction right now. So definitely my preferred impression is that through the current one versus one fight against an oversized Vegeta versus Goma, I'm preferring Vegeta to not only just lose against embarrassingly lose against Goma's or strength, but also I'm preferring Vegeta not even being able to achieve his goal of being able to ascend to the levels of Super Saiyan 4. I'm also preferring Vegeta losing embarrassingly losing to Goma without even being able to reach Super Saiyan 4 level. It's the scenario that I was thinking. No matter how much Vegeta struggles and tries to bring out his power, I was bringing Vegeta would be right now remaining in his Super Sensory form during his entire fight against Goma. And to the point when Vegeta even will be getting defeated by Goma as well, Vegeta would be still won't be able to reach up to the levels of Super Saiyan form. It's the scenario that I was bringing another frame picture. Yes, so definitely my preferred impression right now as for Armchair's mysterious smile precisely as upper Fire and Glory and precisely as Majin says she's sticking with Armchair. But different that would be that smile of Armchair would be precisely due to Armchair's next plan that Armchair would have already have in her mind, and that would be to precisely take the life of Neva using Majin to stealthily take the life of Neva so that the Tamagami Tribe also will be disappearing so that with it and right now having grown up definitely for Maransu for Aransu to especially quickly use Majudu and Majudu to quickly abduct and and basically quickly for Aransu to escape and get away while while the remaining three fighters would be only busy with their most important crew members those who and Vegeta with their whole situation is while the fighters would be in their whole situation of the fight against Goma I was running for our to totally advantage of that situation to basically escape with Dende with escape with Dende and basically after taking Neva's life to for Aram to escape with Dende and use Dende to create the Dragon Ball of her own to somewhere in the demon realm and basically in the first demon world and that way for Aram to once again attempt at using those Dragon Balls to make her wish to make her the supreme demon king. It would be Aransu's plan, especially right now. Definitely my most memorable. That would be the reason behind to smile, still smile right now. Was also definitely my most memorable. But like I'm looking for even that plan of like around felt totally backfired. It's like the definitive scenario that I'm looking, and I'm definitely still thinking to my most memorable that like once like Gomah would be like finally brought down, and considering like the end scenario, I'm still thinking to my most memorable that like would be definitely not Aransu, but like Glorio would be like the first person to eventually end up becoming like the next supreme demon king of like the of like the demon realm, definitely my favorite. And that would precisely eventually end up being precisely glorious, like the scenario that I was looking at. At that point, that glory would be also possessing be given like the power of like the third eye. And I was by then like so also involved maybe having like a change in her character as well. It's like also like I mentioned scenario that I was looking at. I'm looking like the third eye to be like and I was bringing it to be like an absolute moment with like a great number of with like the Z fighters as well as like a whole lot of King Shadan and his army, all this great number of people like Anzu and maybe like Mazuko and Valentine to like everyone like I'm afraid to be like a moment well while like Gloria will be turned into like a supreme demon king by precisely like someone actually like placing like giving the third eye to Gloria and placing the third eye onto like Gloria's forehead and I'm considering that someone I'm considering either to be fancy or like I'm considering that someone will be either fancy or Goku or like Aransu herself. It's the I'm considering to be either one of these three that I'm considering usually in like the final scenario towards the very end in like the final scenario will be giving like that third eye to Gloria and placing the third eye to Gloria's forehead and that way Gloria being like having his transformation and being so that's really powerful. And that way that moment marking like the moment like Gloria has basically replaced Gomah and became like the next supreme demon king of like the Atlantic Victorian realm. It's like the eventual scenarios that I'm going to explore on against still second to and my story and yeah, so like the cinema was very impressive. There is thing on that basically, even though right now like Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, normal size Vegeta is like Super Saiyan 3 form is like only dominating like the fight against like Glorio. In like the one with the one fight, like I'm still I'm like how exactly the power of like, the third eye would be working would be like there will be all that unlimited like potential within like the third eye, like there will be all that unlimited access to power within like the right but I'm the like all that power would only be accessible to like the wield of like the right only while he would be like getting dominated in a fight and would be pushed to a corner like it is only that at that point that more and more of like that unlimited power it's like the third eye would be that that wielder would be getting access to more and more of like the unlimited power of the third eye definitely more going to be. So like this would be definitely like the scenario that I'm about to bring. Even right now with like Vegeta into like sensory form as Vegeta is like dominating like the fight against like Gomah. Still I'm about to bring the more Vegeta would be pushing Gomah into a corner, like more like Gomah would be getting access to that unlimited power of the third eye, and with that ultimate power, like I'm about to bring, it would only seriously surpass like the Super Saiyan the three power of like Vegeta. And at that point would be when I was becoming like even with like Vegeta in his normal size and like Super Saiyan 3 form. Jack being like having to face that absolute embarrassing of like a defeat against like the ultimate third eye power of like Roma. Like the scenario that I'm looking against since I want to enter Super Saiyan. And I'm mostly talking like this very exact same scenario in like the mutual fight that only happening between like the super friend for and says Goku versus like Roma as well. It's like the scenario that I'm bring up speaking on it. Also like the cinema is very interesting right now with like Glorio right now after being fired by also like Glorio right now finally being like free to like be his pro self. Like and at the point, even right now, Floro won't be like absolutely free to be his like pro self, within like the presence of like the Z fighter. So it's definitely my concern. That's because of Floro totally hiding that critical information that she was like this entire time planning on actually betraying like the Z fighter. So like I'm the even though the Z fighter crew members will be right now totally blindly believing that Glorio was like this entire time like totally was on their side had never had any sort of like betrayal kind of like secret intent or anything like even though the fighters would be even right now would be like only blindly trusting in Glorio about to bring like once like whole fight against Gomah will be over and once Gomah will be brought down and at that point of the I'm about to bring Glorio totally confessing everything to like the in front of like the definitely by the Glory and Goku and Vegeta about to bring Glorio to like confess everything that basically he had actually this entire time was trying to like actually betray all of them and all that. So but like I'm about to bring like Goku totally straight away forgiving Glorio and I'm about to bring Goku telling Glorio that like, but you didn't do it like basically. But still, like in the end, like you like helped us out and basically like turned us back to our normal self and everything. Like basically that way, like Goku and everyone, like all of the Z fighters, including Fancy and everyone, like totally forgiving Glorio. It's like the scenario that I'm bring, and I'm also bring like even though Glorio after like the Z fighters will be leaving, like eventually leaving like the Demon Real Man, heading back to Earth, like I was bring still like Glorio would be like. And I'm considering at that point for Glorio most likely ending up being like the next Supreme Demon King as well of the Demon Real. But still I'm considering even more than that Glorio would be like the would be like Super Three Fighters and Super Glorio like them both would be totally feeling as like Glorio is like the newest member of like the Three Fighters. So it's like the middle scenario, them all leaving and saying goodbye to each other while having that feeling that they are that Glorio is like their new best friend and like the new member of like the Three Fighter family. It's like the in the scenario. As to like what I'm considering, and I'm considering eventually for like the future in like the Dragon Ball series, I'm considering like exactly like how the future trends has of kind of like basically at times like visit like to like all sorts of situations and also different a similar thing happening with like Gloria as well. Like Gloria and also different kind of like a similarity usually happening with like future trends as well as Gloria as well. Where like I'm different Gloria as well eventually like trends with future would be like showing up to at times with like all sorts of trouble or like situation in which like the people like the fighters at that point like them seeing like Gloria but like Gloria at that point like being like the Z fighters like as with friend and like a family like your family member like I was doing the Z fighters sorting helping Gloria out in all those situations like the future that will be happening in like the future like all those troubles that like Gloria was bring to like the to like the invited by Glorio at times in like the future showing up to us exactly like a point to be at time out of the blue only showing up to us with like all the situation and like with like the rewriters like really helping them out in solving those situation and those supporting like in kind of like the man around the and Glorio as well would be like that similarity to the future ones that are the sustainability for and to happen to Gloria as well. And that's the scenario that I will developing and make very much. Okay, so like the name of the Korean person right now was like an open sales to the sensory Vegeta's like ultimate like theme like attack, which I'm personally putting with them was like Gallet gun ultimate powerful attack with Vegeta. And Vegeta even adding his own, I think like basically using sending out teams from his mouth as well, simultaneously to like maximize like the intensity of like that ultimate Gallet gun like powerful game of Vegeta. And even right now with that being like right now consuming Gomah and basically sending like the third eye Gomah flying. Amber Super still Amber 3, even after all this like Amber Super like this attack of Vegeta, ultimate attack of Vegeta still not even facing Gomah at all. Like Amber Super in that ultimate powerful beam of attack of Vegeta not even creating a scratch on Gomah at all. Like the scenario that I'm not even remotely at all affecting Gomah's like power and Goma striking back, like straight away striking back without much delay at all. Goma striking back at the Vegeta at that way more in superior intensity level of like point. It should be what Panther Supreme would be precisely like setting like the time for like the whole downfall of Vegeta, like the decade of like Vegeta was delivering like the end like the tide of like the entire current one versus one fight between like the 2003 Vegeta and Goma was delivering the fight to like precisely the like turning instantly turning one side of from against towards like the favor of Goma from this point on and Vegeta uh like quickly getting defeated maybe in like a kind of like an embarrassing manner without much great delay at all. It's like the scenario that I'm projecting from this point on. It's like Mega Revolution. Also like the Mega Revolution right now as for like the ultimate power of like the third eye that not only grants it, like ultimate supreme power to Goma but also like ensures that basically Goma doesn't take any damage and not even any exhaustion at all even after like all this like a long time period like Goma like consistent bad thing. Like I'm bring like this power, ultimate power of like the third eye. On top of like it's like limitless ultimate power. On top of that, like it's like ultimate defensive power as well, with which like the wither of like third eye doesn't take any damage or absorption at all. And from this definitely might be specifically my personal evidence, this definitely might be like this ultimate power of third eye. It would definitely be like that ultimate power that allowed like the very first demon king, Supreme Demon King of like the Demon King, when the Demon Real alone had existed, even before the universe existed, that that ultimate power that might have allowed like the very first Supreme Demon King to like basically reign over even like the ancestors of like the Omni King would be precisely this ultimate power of the third eye. This definitely might was the very apparition. It might have definitely been like him at some point, like basically losing his like third eye at some point. Like maybe it might have been like the that like maybe the reason that I'm still thinking about it might have been definitely like the trickery or like through some trickery like the ancestor of like the current Omni King might have tricked like the initial ultimate powerful strongest like supreme demon king, like basically like the ancestor of like the Omni King might have tricked him into like basically somehow end up with like the situation eventually ending up with like him losing the third eye somewhere. It's like the scenario as what might have happened. And it might have been like the soul that might be through that soul reason and that soul path that I'm considering like the might have eventually resulted in like the downfall of like the supreme demon king, and basically it was like the only king like actually eventually ending up reigning supreme and like the strongest in like the and like as like the ruler of like the entire multi-universe and everything. That might have all happened in simultaneous manner to the downfall of like the very first demon king. Supreme Demon King was second by the Supreme. So like during that point, like I'm assuming when the very first initial Supreme King, the Demon King might have been tricked by the ancestor of like Dominic King at that point. Like the moment like this, the initial Supreme Demon King had lost like might have lost like the third eye itself, like at that point itself, like the ancestor of like Dominic King might have taken the life of like the very first Supreme Demon King, just definitely were from February. So like I'm wondering from that point on, like for a great number of years, like I'm wondering the third eye might have lost to like somewhere in like uh, the demon realm. It's definitely my favorite. So maybe like the ancestor of like Dominic King as well might have frantically searched for like the third eye back then in like the from like the entirety of like the demon realm as well. And maybe he too might have never been able to like find it. It's definitely my personal answer. So like that might be the reason for like maybe him deciding to like not stay in like the and so like at that point he might have decided to like not stay in like the demon realm. He might have left of to basically create all the multi-universe and live there is definitely my favorite kind of thing. And since like it might have been precisely during the era or like during the time period while all this while this right item was lost to like somewhere in like the demon reality. Maybe during that time was running actually like the Omni King became like the ultimate ruler and basically of all this multiple universe and eventually the Omni King eventually like the ancestor of like the Omni King dying off and basically eventually ending up with like the current Omni King being like the ultimate supreme ruler of like then that definitely universe might have happened at such an annual particular things which I mean in between this time period Abra might have only found like the right from somewhere in like the ring realm. He might have only accidentally found like the right or like he might have searched for it relentlessly searched for like the right item and eventually found like the right item. But like at that point I'm also trying that Adora might have not been even interested in like the in like bringing down like the making like Abura might have not even though Abura might have actually had the power solely due to like in possessing like the ultimate power like the right even though Abura might have at that point might have actually had the power to like bring down even like the Omni King. And I was wondering right now, even Gomah, right now, White House bring the power of the right Gomah as well might have like the power to even bring down like the current form making as well. It's definitely not looking very much. Yet, like in the case of Agora, Agora might have not been interested at all in like leaving the demon realm. Like Agora might have had that maybe like an emotional connection to like the demon realm, and Agora might have always wanted to live in the entire like in like the demon realm, and maybe that might be the reason for like Agora not even bothering to like leave the demon realm or to even fight off bring down like dominating is definitely not going to be so definitely it's definitely a victory and Russian right now for like Aruncho right now revealing that Aburat could like basically place and remove like the third eye on its forehead using in his will like on the ring. So and the fact that Abura had like this like book of magical items, like basically my personal impression that like right now is that basically so most likely the thing with that Abura possessing like the right like how it might have happened and right now, but I think it might have definitely not sure been through an accidental finding of like the third eye by Abura. Like Abura ever since he remember like he might have been told ever since Abura might have been little like Abura might have been told these stories by his parents as well in the history about like the demon realm as to like basically the demon realm was like the only thing to like exist before like the multi universes and everything and basically that like back then like the supreme demon king like the most powerful person was like not like the omni king or like his ancestor but was like the supreme demon king of like the demon realm and all that like so like and that way like Abura even back when he was a child might have heard of like this like ultimate power of like the item of like the third eye. And Abdullah might have totally believed in that like that story would be true. That basically the third eye would be like an actual item that exists from the and in that story like Abdullah fans might have told Abdullah that basically the item of like third eye was lost in like the demon realm and since then absolutely no one was able to like find like the third eye. So like I'm also since then, like I'm also thinking, even back when I was like a child, like Abura might have had this ultimate goal in his like life to like basically to find the third eye. So like I'm also thinking, even back then, since like Abura was like a child, Abura might have been frantically searching to like precisely find the third eye, and Abura might have tried like get all sorts of like knowledge he can about like the third eye, and this might be how like Abura right now Arzu even revealing that Abura knew how to like basically place and remove like the third eye on his own using his own will like and the Abura even knowing this unique exactly because of like Abura probably being obsessed with like the concept of third eye even before him finding like the third eye. Hence like Abura might have gained all this knowledge relating to the third eye and that might be how like Abura might have by the time Abura might have found like the third eye like basically like Abura even knowing to like basically place and remove like the third eye onto his forehead and to attain like the power of third eye using his will by himself like Abura being able to like do that was because of all this reasons it's definitely my personal impression about even having this like book of magical item like which like I'm forever right now revealed I'm considering so definitely this through this like book of magical item like I'm considering there will be like I'm considering a magical item that's like only required for like an individual to like attain like the power of the third eye by his own will. Like I'm considering like even if that person has like the third eye item for that individual to be able to like attain like the power of the third eye on his own will. Like I'm considering like this like and a magical kind of like an item, a mysterious magical kind of like an item would be like required for such a thing to be possible, especially with the images as long as like the individual doesn't possess that magical item and the different like another individual would have to like place the third eye onto that individual's forehead for like the other individual to attain like the power of his third eye. And the cinema was so like I'm whispering right now, but like aren't so sending Majin to like find this like book of magical items that belong to Abraham. Those different like Majinko without much creative bringing that book of magical item. And I was wondering that at that point, Arunso figuring out as to like what exactly is that magical item, using which like one would be able to like gain like the third eye, would be able to like attain or remove like the third eye the twin. So like I'm considering that most likely so like the might of the impression as for like the eventual scenario that I'm looking is like by like on one side like for Vegeta was Gomah fight would be happening where like I'm the without which created that or Vegeta would be easily getting defeated by Gomah. And at that point I'm also trying that maybe like Goku deciding to like have a one versus one fight against like Gomah. Goku and right now with like Piccolo already right now I think like telling Goku that basically maybe they need to focus not on like the fighting aspect but like on like and I was wondering with that dialogue of Piccolo I was wondering Piccolo totally coming up with the strategy to like basically separate like the third eye from Goma being like the only way to like bring down Goma and like I was wondering Piccolo telling along such lines of the strategy to like Goku and I was wondering Goku totally listening to Piccolo and I was wondering that Goku after like Vegeta's defeat and bring Goku in his like Super Saiyan form while fighting off against like Gomah, Goku would be like only trying to trick Gomah into thinking that Goku exactly like Vegeta's trying to like have like one versus one fight against like Gomah, where like Goku's trying to win just by using brute strength, while in actuality Goku would be like putting up such a false feeling in like trying to create such a false feeling in Gomah to like trick Gomah into like stealthily try to like separate like the third eye from Gomah would be like what Goku would be attempting, but like I was considering Goku should totally fail at that. And I'm considering at that point that like Goku would be attempting that separation of the third eye from Gomah and considering like Gomah at that point realizing that what's Goku actual true intent and strategy of Goku. Gomah realizing that at that point, and from that point on, I was looking into the game of even like the super friend for Goku. Looks like I'm considering Goma or for a debating Goku as well. It's like the scenario that I'm considering. But I'm considering even though Goku would be like badly exhausted at that point, I'm considering still by then like by the whole time while Goku would be fighting off against like Goma, I'm considering Vegeta would be getting more than enough time to like recover back a certain level of his like stamina and health. So like I'm considering at that point like Goku and Vegeta deciding to like use the fusion bug and like at that point, right now, about the trying like since like there's only one more episode, I'm about the trying like at that point, I'm thinking straight away they would be like fusing and turning into like Gogeta and not Vegito. It's like the scenario that I'm considering. So like the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta versus like third eye Gohan, like the scenario that I'm considering. Where like I'm considering Goku trying to like the Goku in like Vegeta, desperately trying to like convince Vegeta that basically uh, uh, simply using like strength, brute strength won't be at all enough to like bring down Goma. But like I'm also trying Vegeta not like yeah, just like lost to like Goma, Vegeta would be unprecedented thought they have that frustration within it. That like I was trying Vegeta initially no refusing to like listen to Goku and basically like initially Gogeta having that absolute struggle solely due to like Vegeta's objections to like basically focus on separating like the like from Goma and that way like initially like Gogeta like kind of like having like that straight away one fight against like Goma where like Goma would be easily offering Vegeta. It's like the scenario that I'm talking about. But like eventually Goku succeeding in like convincing Vegeta and that way like Vegeta focusing on trying to like separate like the like from Goma once again. And even that attempt would be failing and I'm considering Goma at that point like finally totally overpowering Vegeta and I'm considering the scenario to be Goma about to take Vegeta's life as well. Super Saiyan for Vegeta totally losing to like the third eye Goma and like Goma about to take Vegeta's like but I'm considering at that very last second would be when especially by that while all this would be happening like through I'm considering like Majin Buu would be bringing that book of magical items to Arzu and Arzu by then would have figured out what is it that provides magical item that allows that like a removal and attaining of like the right Bible like for one for an individual to attain that power like what's that safe magical item that's like required. So like I was like by then like I'm so figuring that out through that book of Abura and I was looking Arzu by then would be like surfing all throughout like the palace of Goma. And finally by that precisely coincidentally and luckily for like the Vegeta and the precisely as Goma would be like about to take the Vegeta's life. But at that very last second by then I'm like Arzu would have finally found that item, magical item, and Arzu would be like making it to that precise location where the fight will be happening with the magical item and possibly it would be perfectly right now, but it would be perfectly armed so that would be like ending like the fight and would be like defeating Goma. Precisely using the magical item as also trying like Hercules Goma would be third eye Goma would be about to take Vegeta's life at that very last second. And so using like the magical item that using her will that way that that magical item would be granting her to that power to like remove like the third eye from Goma using her will and go like at that very last second like Goma using access to all that power of it ultimate power like the third eye and I'm also trying like I'm so most likely attaining like the power of like the third eye and at that point I'm also trying like the Z fighters all being afraid as to like what exactly Arunsu might right now do will they have to like fight off against Arunsu as well at that point will be what they would be afraid but like at that point I was trying like Arunsu totally attain the power of like the third eye and have some and my considering pressure that like even though after like at that point I'm considering to like probably attain like the powerful third and to turn into like an intimidating kind of like form, powerful form. But like at that point I also by then would be totally having a lot of faith thinking, especially after like how Glorio. like betrayed Arunchu totally being like help to the fighters and all that. Like I'm by then I'm also with like Shin as well being part of like the Arunchu's own sibling Shin as well being part of like the fighters through like at that point like I'm also definitely Arunchu definitely calming down and definitely like not instead of like attacking the fighters I'm also Arunchu telling the fighters that she needs Dente and Dente's power like Dente's pride about like she needs it to like with your soft back physical injuries like I'm maybe like Arun Chopra coming down and basically Arun so telling that the repeater that this is why she needs then they like around the lens and I'm also at that point Shin totally and when the repeater is totally agreeing and basically at that point I'm most likely right now everything like for never to like destroy his like time again Prime Ball and they totally creating his Dragon Ball of up on like the Demon Tail and like them totally making the wish to like cure back all the memories and I'm about to bring like after that like I'm about to bring uh, maybe like after that I'm going to bring also being totally okay with like and telling the people that now you can leave with like 10 day and like I'm going to bring before like the people is giving I'm going to bring I'm going to bring the more like the fancy that would be like walking straight up toward like Aransu and like maybe fancy or better than like shouting out to Aransu that basically Glorio is like more deserving to be like the supreme demon thing than Aransu along such lines and I'm going to bring like fancy words like totally getting through to like Amsu and Amsu totally getting that shock because like Amsu will be at that point will be expecting someone like Fancy to like have a courage to like speak up anyone to have like that much of like a courage to like speak up against like Amsu. Yet like I'm also thinking Fancy would be like shouting out to Amsu that like Florence more deserving for like the third eye and for like the title of like the Supreme Demon King. And at that point, Aruntu getting a shock and especially since like Spy and like Aruntu's like ultimate goal of like basically like restoring the accident basically achieved at that point. But then Aruntu at that point maybe thinking of like basically actually having like a change in her mindset and basically Aruntu at that point listening to Fancy and basically Aruntu giving like the power to the third eye and the title of like the Supreme Demon King to like Glorio and Glorio getting that absolute shock and I'm also bring Glorio becoming the Supreme Demon King and I'm also bring really after witnessing that and the different like Goku and the Vegeta and they will be leaving like the Demon Realm and getting back to practice like given the scenarios that I'm going to putting in my good career so that the technology. Okay, so like definitely my primary impression right now as for like RMSO right now revealing the valuable information as to like how to take separate like the right from the Gomah. So separate even right then like right now I'm looking like RMSO would be like definitely would have also attained like the knowledge as to like how to like not only just like even though like striking the back of the head 3 times would be like how Abura might have removed like his like third eye with will considering as for like how exactly Agora might have like attained and placed like the third eye on his forehead and attained the power of the third eye by himself using his will. That information as well definitely Aruto might have definitely gained after going through that book of magical items. Definitely my information, which like Aruto India right now constantly keeping that technical information from like the Z fighters and all of them precisely uh, it could be a conscious decision by Arun specifically because like Arun is basically waiting for like the Z fighters to like separate Gomah from like the third eye so that like Arun could like straight away would be patiently waiting for that steadily waiting for that moment for like Gomah to get separated from third eye so that like Arun could like totally bounce and basically precisely grab the third eye and attain like the third eye power of the third eye by herself using like the precise information that she would have collected from like the book as to like how to attain like the power of the third eye by oneself using will, which like the information the RNC would have only by now would have attained through the book and would be constantly keeping a secret. Just so like that's like the scenario that I'm shooting and that's for like the 3 strikes on like the back of that Gomah's head and like to bring that to only be possible for like the fighters only through like Goku and Vegeta using the fusion bug and turning into like a Super Saiyan 4 version of like Gogeta. It's like the scenario that I'm thinking. So that's like the scenario that I'm going to think. Even like the Superman for Vegeta seriously struggling their way to like eventually being able to like create an opening and I was bringing like for them for even like the Super Saiyan for Vegeta and those different like even creating an opening to be for Superman for Vegeta to be able to like strike simultaneously on the back of like Goma's head 3 times would be like usually even that much of a difficult task and at that point is when I was different in order to create an opening for like Superman for Vegeta to be able to do that and the different like Piccolo and the remaining remaining of the enemy fighter crew as well as like King Kadan and his army as well, remaining army will be present there, like I'm considering all of them collectively like attacking Gomah and basically creating that perfect distraction for Gomah, which would be what I'm personally predicting like the final showdown where like scenario in which like that would be like solely the way that I'm considering that through which like a certain time for Vegeta will be like finally be able to like get that opening to be able to like strike thrice simultaneously on the back of like Gomah's head, and basically that way like Gomah being separated from like the third eye. It's like the scenario that I was doing. And the moment like the third eye would be separated from Gomah straight away and worshiping would be most likely uh, margin two or like margin two. The moment like the third eye would be separated from Gomah and was bringing either margin two or margin two that totally jumping towards that exact location and so quickly grabbing like the third eye and bringing it to Arunsu. It's like the scenario that I was doing. And I'm definitely praying like Arunsu right now. Right then would be totally flexing stuff like knowledge that she would have gained through like attaining like the power of the third eye using her way rather than Arunsu letting like either Majin or Majin place the third eye onto Arunsu's forehead and considering Arunsu totally like showing off her knowledge and her skills he would have right now gained through like the knowledge contained in that book of magical items. So you feel like I'm considering like what everyone would be like shocking with the thing like Arunsu like attaining like the power of the third eye using her will is like the scenario that I'm considering as a good impression. But still, according to my personal impression, even though I'm considered only something like the moment Goma will be getting separated from like the third eye itself, like Arunchu will be like attaining like the power of the third eye and transforming like and becoming so much powerful. Even then, I'm considering still, even then, I'm considering for like a fight between like the three fighters and Arunchu. The third eye position Arunchu to like never happen at all. It's like the scenario that I'm considering and still thinking on. Definitely, I'm still saying to my positive impression that like of like all the things that getting eventually getting like resolved without like there being a need for like a fight between like the three fighters and like the third eye both things happens eventually like the scenario that I'm totally pretty and still thinking about another. Okay, so like definitely my very impression right now with like Zulma like shouting out to Vegeta to like stop Vegeta from like taking on Gomah by himself. Like that strategy of Zulma and Goku protecting to totally fail at Vegeta still arrogantly and adamantly still totally sticking to his like pride and ego and holding on to his like huge pride and ego and like Vegeta still wanting to like bring down Goma all by himself, even though deep down Vegeta himself will be like knowing far too well that like he's like totally losing against Goma and he will be like totally losing against Goma. Still able to bring like Bulma's attempt definitely not to like to totally let Vegeta allow others to like bring fight and bring down Goma. Like that strategy definitely would failing in like the scenario that I was doing. So like I'm going to bring up Vegeta still adamantly fighting against Goma and I'm going to bring has like the fight progress just the further bit like itself like I'm going to bring Goma with like a single powerful attack like totally Vegeta facing that as an embarrassment of like a defeat where like I'm considering Goma with like an ultimate attack like I'm considering like without like creating I'm considering would be knocking out Vegeta unconscious like the scenario that I'm considering and that I'm considering would be what even would be allowing Goku and the remaining V fighters to like attempt their strategy of like striking Goma uh, striking the back of Goma's head, like, and easily to separate like Goma from like, it's definitely my both amazing. So, like, at that point, I'm also separating, like, I go to fighting up against Goma, and like, eventually, in that fight, like, also going all the way up to his like, 4% fourth form. And that fight progressing and still, like, Goku totally having a hard time against, like, Goma, and still, Piccolo not being able to, like, get this, like, perfect opening to be able to, like, and I was wondering maybe during that fight, like, Piccolo even attempting that whole three strike to like basically separate the third eye from Goma, but still Goma being far too strong that Goma totally be able to like protect himself from that. It's also like the scenario that I'm going to bring. So then I'm going to bring like as like Goku would be like totally getting offered. Super Saiyan for Goku would be totally getting offered and defeated by Goma. At that point is when Super Saiyan Vegeta would be like that entire time when Goku would be fighting up against Goma, that entire time giving Vegeta more than enough time to be able to like wake up from his like unconscious state and basically for Vegeta to like recover to a certain extent as well. like the scenario that I'm considering. And that would be the point when Vegeta would be waking up and would have recovered a certain, to a certain bit of a second extent. At that point, I was putting Vegeta only seeing that and realizing that he had already lost against like Gomah and like Goku had already taken over in like the fight against Gomah. So like at that point, I'm also bring Vegeta once again trying to like get back his fight from Goku, and once again Vegeta going up to that where Goku will be fighting up against Gomah and Vegeta shouting out to Goku that this is my fight. And like at that point, I'm also bring Goku totally like succeeding in like convincing Vegeta to like totally use like the fusion bug so that like they could totally fight against like Gomah together as like a single person. So basically like that way like I'm considering that like the scenario that I'm considering where like finally like the fusion bugs will be used and like Goku and Vegeta turning into like a super friend for Vegeta, and it would be I'm considering right now it will be through that fight against like an ultimate super friend for Vegeta versus Goma. It would be like as that fight would be progressing, I'm considering it would be through that fight that people will finally be able to like get just like opening to be able to like right to the back of Goma's head 3 times and separate like the third eye from Gomah's like the scenario that I'm going to bring and my brain. Well, so like definitely my primary impression right now that is Bulma as like Vegeta's like wife, like basically Bulma knows that Vegeta far too way better than like neither Goku, Piccolo, or like any other of like the by the remember pretty much. Definitely my personal impression that like the strategy that Bulma right now uses was like through her dialogue that Bulma was totally my personal impression that Bulma might have been totally giving Vegeta a reason for Vegeta to quit successful because like Bulma might have been when I'm fully aware that like it might have been far too obvious for even Gomah that basically Vegeta was totally and losing the fight against like Goma. So like yet like the fact that Vegeta couldn't like simply quit or forfeit from like the fight against Goma solely due to like that excessive pride and ego of Vegeta. So like what Bulma did through Bulma's dialogue might have been totally Bulma giving Vegeta a reason to quit from like his losing fight against Goma so that like that wouldn't like it wouldn't appear to in front of others like it wouldn't appear as if like Vegeta's ego and pride wouldn't get hurt. It's definitely my personal impression. That way, like the precise reason, even Vegeta himself deep down would have totally knew that he's like totally losing against Zoma. And even deep down, Vegeta might have known that like if he's going to like die by the hands of Goma. But even when Vegeta might have deep down wanted to like forfeit from like the fight against Goma, still like Vegeta might have wanted like the ego and pride of like excessive ego and pride of Vegeta was stopping him from being able to do that. So like after putting through Bulma's dialogue, Bulma might have totally given Vegeta that reason to like escape from his like escape from like the fight against Goma without hurting Vegeta's pride and ego. And that is like the sole reason for like Vegeta even straight away through Bulma's dialogue even like forfeiting from his like fight against like Goma, even allowing Goku to like fight off against like Goma. It's definitely my best friend. Like my personal impression that like the fight against Goma was like an evenly matched fight between like Vegeta and Goma. Vegeta actually felt that like the fight against Roma was like Vegeta had like the equal level of strength with Roma. Like if Vegeta genuinely felt that, then I'm considering even right now when the current dialogue was like a strategy that Bulma used to like stop Vegeta from like fighting against Goma. Even that strategy would have totally failed at that point. It's definitely my personal impression. So yeah. So like definitely my personal impression is that like this would be like the sole reason of like Bulma's dialogue right now, even working and basically like Vegeta like basically not only forfeiting his like fight against Goma, but also letting go of all people against whom Vegeta have such an extreme type competition against like the fact that Vegeta even allowing Goku of all people to like basically to complete like the unfinished fight that Vegeta against Goma, which is only due to like the reason is definitely my personal impression, right?